Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. Back. It's Monday. It's time to talk Batman the Animated Series. We're on Season 1, Episode 9. We finally got, I think, our episodes fixed now that I've gotten over the whole continuity thing. So this is Episode 9. It is called Pretty Poison. It's the first appearance of Poison Ivy on the show, voiced by Diane Pershing, who's really great in the role. And so let's start talking about this great episode, great origin story, and full spoilers, yeah, if you have not seen this episode or any of the episodes. And so we start with a little bit of trivia. Of course, Richard Mole is back as Harvey Dent. And like what I love about this, I don't know if I said it before, but I love how they start Harvey Dent. He hasn't been in a lot of episodes. I think he's only been in maybe one previous. I think he was in one where he was just kind of sitting in the background flipping his coin. But he was a DA, and he was a good guy. Just, like the Dark Knight showed that he was this, golden boy, the guy who's got there to clean up Gotham, and in this he's Bruce's friend. They establish that they have a history and they like each other, and it's not like just Bruce pretending to like somebody. Like, in the Dark Knight, it was like one of those, they had that whole love triangle thing going on, but in this, they're real friends. But for some trivia, and it's just one bit of trivia, and maybe it's juvenile, but Tim said that the Venus flytrap in this episode, it unintentionally looks like a vagina with teeth. So they didn't want to do a fly trap that looked like the Audrey 2 from the great Frank Oz movie, A Little Shop of Horrors, one of the only musicals I actually like. So they wanted to try something else. They wanted to give it a distinct look, and they ended up going with something that's that looks supposed to look like a snow pea pod. But it ended up looking the way it does, and they said, well, it's a good metaphor for what she is, a man killer. So to anybody out there that gets offended by that, I mean, this was 1992, and I don't know if that's where the jokes came from, and I don't, if you know what I'm talking about, but anyway, this is also the episode that's supposedly the first appearance of Renee Montoya, but I thought her first appearance was in Joker's Favor. They just never said who she is. She's the one sitting next to Harvey. And also, before we get really into it, as usual, we're going to mention a couple of the people that don't get mentioned on the show's production staff. Like I said, everybody talks about Kevin and Mark and, Efren Zillis Jr. and Bob Hastings and everybody else that's famous in here, like Richard Mole, or Eartha Kitt, and everybody else that's Eartha Kitt I don't think is on this show. She's from the original Batman. Whoopsie. But you know what I'm saying. So today we're going to be talking about sound effects, a couple of the sound effects editors, because what made me think of that, to mention that, is the noises that the Venus flytrap makes. So that's like sound effects. It made me think of, so we're talking about Russell Brower, who's done everything from the Tweety, his most recent stuff was the Tweety Sylvester Mysteries. Well, not all of his stuff, but I'm picking like actual credits for what this is. So the Tweety and Sylvester Mysteries, man, that was a while ago though. But the furthest back I could go was a Z-list horror movie called What's Up, Hideous Sun Demon. I looked it up. It looks like a Creature from the Black Lagoon kind of ripoff. And then next we have Robert Hargreaves, who's worked on everything from Justice League versus the Fatal Five to all the way back to Goof Troop. So you guys, there's a little tip of the hat to the work that you've done over the years. Give a little nod to the little guys out there. And so let's jump in to the episode proper. Pretty Poison. It's pretty good. So, love the brown colored flashback. So the first thing it made me think of for some reason was Steven Soderbergh's Traffic, and how each scenario kind of had a different color hue. This, they don't tell you, like a lot of shows or movies or whatever would tell you what time period it was set in. But since they never really want to establish what year this is, we're supposed to say it's modern times, but since Gotham City looks like Art Deco, film noir, modern time mixed with modern times, it's safer to just leave it blank and leave it to your imagination when it is. So they go with like a brown color hue that just tells you this is in the past, and it's Harvey Dent breaking ground on a new penitentiary. I didn't realize that district attorneys uh, were involved in the setup of penitentiaries, but whatever. But it sets up her hatred, Pamela Isley's hatred for Harvey Dent, and why she has a vendetta against him, because his penitentiary uh, destroyed a whole lot of plant life. And so we flash forward to 5 years where the prison is now built. And it also, like I said about origins, this isn't just her origin story. This is the beginning of Harvey Dent's Two-Face origin, in a way. Like seeing his descent, his beginnings of starting off as the good DA and having like this kind of thing happen to him, and as it goes on, just becoming Harvey Two-Face. And even they call him Harvey Two-Face. Like, they bring that back in The Dark Knight, saying, what did they call you at GCPD? And he's like, hey, Harvey. Like, oh, he says that to Gordon, and Gordon has to tell him Harvey Two-Face. So, it's also his, kind of his episode. Because, come on, having a relationship with a freaking supervillain would start to make you, probably go a little crazy, too. But like I said, we cut to 5 years later. The prison's built, and we have this like helicopter escape. So this guy flies in a helicopter really quickly into Blackgate Prison. This guy runs out and gets in the chopper, and they're taking off. And Commissioner Gordon gets the call. There's been a breakout by a helicopter by air. From Blackgate Prison, and they gotta go, and they're rushing to get out of there. I love the little bit, the running gag that's in this of Harvey Bullock running back for a donut. He does it a couple of times in this episode, so it's a pretty nice little touch there. Just little tiny things that make the world feel more, real, and these characters more fleshed out. Even if it is just to go back and get a donut, and it's like comic relief. So this helicopter is all, tearing across the city. Batman sees it. He attaches himself and goes for a ride with the helicopter. And another really cool thing about this is how the dinner scene between Pam and Harvey waiting for Bruce Wayne is intercut with the action scene with Batman and the helicopter. This is stuff you see in movies where they go like, oh, he's late, or, like whatever the situation is, like, I don't know, my friend's running late. And then they cut to him like, somebody running or something and doing some sort of action, to like show like a, kind of make it a joke. They've done it in other superhero things as well, like where, somebody's not where they're supposed to be, and like, oh, he's just doing his thing, and they intercut that with the action. It's really cool. Also, Kevin was the voice of the waiter that serves them at the table. And we get lines like, oh, Bruce, he's probably hung up on business, as they segue to him flying around, hanging off the side of the helicopter. So we know now that Bruce is supposed to meet Harvey and Pam for dinner. And like I said, great interspersing. Also, like, lines that he says, like, we know everything about each other. There's nothing we don't know about each other. Meanwhile, he's kicking people. He's like, Bruce knows how to get his kicks, and they show him kicking a guy. It's just really cool. Also, that they're at the Rose Cafe, which is, pretty on the nose. It's pretty cool. Also, so Bruce, he finally gets back to the restaurant after getting home, going to the Batcave, getting his suit, getting in his cord, getting a recommendation for salmon almondine or something like that by Alfred. He finally gets to dinner, and they're having their chit-chat, and all that. Bruce's credit card, though, They cut down to Bruce's credit card for some reason, and it just says Bruce Wayne's. It's just like I thought that was just really funny. Um, and so Pamela says she's got to leave. She's got to go do some stuff, and she gives Harvey this really long kiss. And I mean, like really long. Like I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do it. What the hell was I thinking? She gives a really long, passionate kiss, and I was like, wow, this is like got a kid show. And it's so, and it even mentioned, they even show how awkward and long it is because Bruce is like, and so immediately she leaves. Also, if she walks away all seductively, apparently the animation studio couldn't do it, and so they had to leave it up to the storyboard artist to get her derriere, as they put it, to look more seductive. So, okay, great. I mean, whatever. I did always like Pam Isley as a character. I mean, she always looked hot with that green outfit, not covering much. It's a shame that Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy couldn't have been written better, because damn, Uma Thurman can fit into a Poison Ivy costume. Bruce's spit take when he finds out that Harvey proposed to her, just, yeah, that's why I asked her to marry me. What? You just met her, Harv, last week. And at the same time this is happening, Harvey's like, is that getting hot in here? And he passes out into the chocolate souffle. So Bruce thinks it's a joke at first until all of a sudden, it just cut to, like almost like a Simpsons gag, cut to ambulance. Ooh! So Harvey's in a coma. Again, the cops are freaking out. Just in. Harvey Dent's in a coma. We got to get to the hospital. And then they leave, and again, Harvey goes back. Harvey Bullock goes back for another donut. And what's also really cool about this is Bruce the friend. Like I said, it shows them being real friends. Not Batman, Bruce. So they find out that he's been poisoned, and not just food poisoning. Like, it's the most virulent strain of poison we've ever seen. And I'm like thinking to myself, then why isn't he dead already? But whatever. And Bruce takes the blood sample to get it studied at the lab, at his Batcave. So Harvey, there's just a quick thing where Harvey interrogates the restaurant staff, talking about, what was in that souffle? Just a little bit of cinnamon. But back in the Batcave, Alfred has found out that it's from the wild thorny rose. A plant, the wild rosy thorn plant excretes a poison, but it's extinct. So they can't find an antidote from an extinct plant. Meanwhile, after this, you get more Bruce. He shows up at the hospital. He's, fight, Harvey, fight. But she shows up, Pam shows up, and she's not allowed to see Harvey. And I kind of wanted to see her get in just to see if she would try to finish the job. Like, damn it, he's still alive. So, but she and Bruce go down to the parking garage. And she's like telling him, hey, he's such a lucky guy to have this good friend. And when she goes to hug him, it looks like she was going in for a kiss. Because she's like, he's so lucky to have a friend like you. Mwah. Like all of a sudden, a kiss turns into a hug. And when he sees that, when he hugs her, he remembers the kiss she gave Harvey. And he immediately goes into Batman mode, calls Alfred, and it's like, give me everything you can on Pamela Isley. So they find out that she develops perfumes and has a PhD in botany and gives lectures on extinct plants. Couldn't be more like ding, 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 ding. We have a poisoner. So, Bats immediately heads right for her garden lab. He spies on her, and she's talking to her plants, which, look, on the surface, that's not crazy. A lot of people talk to their plants like people. It's fine. It doesn't make you a nut job, but it doesn't help her situation. It's to establish to the audience that she talks to her plants, so she's probably a little nuts. This is a kind of a cool. Like before Bats even gets there, she's putting on her sexy outfit for what? Why is she putting on her sexy stuff? I don't know. I guess she just likes to look sexy around the plants, give them something to look at. So he breaks in, and as we see, he almost falls into her death trap of spiny plants. Which, come on, think about this. He would have grabbed that plant, he would have fallen right down, hit those spikes, and died. I know. I'm watching a cartoon, suspension of disbelief. I love it, irregardless. But there's the vagina with teeth plant. And look, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it like that. It's just, now that Bruce Timm says it, that's what it unintentionally looked like. That's all I'm going to be able to see now. So, she shows up. The plant here, is trying to kill him. And she gives her monologue speech, why are you doing this, Pamela? And she's like, well, this is, Harvey had to pay for his crimes. He wanted his new penitentiary, and this rose that just so happened to excrete poison was one of the plants that went extinct because of the penitentiary. And I'm thinking to myself, so this rose only grew in this one patch of land in Gotham City, and it went extinct because Harvey built a prison? Damn, man, like evolution really wanted that plant gone if that's the only place it existed at. I'm not saying that it couldn't existed somewhere else and it went extinct and she like saw this as the one last chance for this rose to, thrive. But it's kind of unlikely, right? So, whatever, you have to like kind of do that. Um, and when she's describing this, I love how she's like trying not to lose her shit. Like here she is explaining it, right, and talking about it like these poor plants, and right about here she starts to like go, like yeah, like, and so she's like really trying to like reel it back in, right? So right here she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Um, so she, it's totally cool. She then, applies the lipstick to the poison to her lips, pretty poison, and gives the bats a big old smackaroo on the kissa. And she's got the antidote. And she's like, I would have given it to you, but he's, now he's struggling. He cuts free. He's cutting the hell up out of this plant, right? And it's making all sorts of noise, which again is why I picked sound effects editors to point out. So he's cutting the hell up out of this thing. This thing's going like, oh. Also, how did she get a plant to have actual teeth? And if they are teeth, man, like when he's kicking them, like teeth are hard to kick out, man. He's just smashing the hell out of them. They were like shark's teeth. So, but when he breaks free, right? She busts out the cool ass like wrist crossbow, which was on like at the action figures, I think, was I'm sorry, but that's a really nice touch. Although I think it was, just so that they could have this moment where he cuts himself free. This thing's screaming bloody murder, right? And she fires it at Batman to hurt him, right? Except when she shoots it, he ducks out of the way and she blows its proverbial brains out. Like, oh! That's like the Pulp Fiction, like, oh man, I just shot Marvin in the face. Like, she just watches her plant be like, oh no! And so she blows up her own plant's brains, which I know that's not how it works, but I mean, come on, the way they shot it, it was like, a headshot. So she freaks out. Meanwhile, he tries to swing on her lamps here, brings the whole thing crashing down into the water, causing all these sparks to pop up. I'm talking about stuff that's being shown right behind me, but torches the whole frickin' place, bringing it down around her, right? And she's just grabbing her last plant and running out. And Batman's hanging back into the ledge death trap that he almost fell in before. And she's like, ha 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 ha, enjoy extinction, Batman. And he's got the plant. And I just love that. That's such a nice touch. And he's like, the antidote for the weed. And he knows it's not a weed, but it's a nice touch. He has a few good lines, like even the classic, I'm your worst nightmare. So, when he talks to the guy from the helicopter. So, she, of course, gives up the antidote, and they go crashing through the gate, and she's cradling her plant. Pretty baby, pretty baby. She's bonkers, man. And they really establish, like, almost like right from the start that she's never been right. Like, they don't show her, like, ever, like, being normal. Like, somehow losing those plants made her snap. If losing those plants made you snap, then there's something previously wrong with your mental health history. And I'm not making light of it. I'm just saying that there was something else going on there. So she goes to jail, and Bruce wakes up Harvey Dent here after he gets the antidote. And I just love this. This is just a nice little humorous moment in a dark situation where he's like, Harv, you know I'm your friend, right? And I really, I want to be able to be honest with you. Pam Isley, don't think she's the right one for you, buddy. She's wrong for you. Cut to her in jail saying they can bury us as deep as they want, but we always grow back. And that's Pretty Poison, everybody. I love talking about these episodes. These kind of things are what makes my week. I love getting views on my stuff. I realize this doesn't get a lot of hits, but it's just so much fun talking about it that even if only 5 people watch these, I would keep doing them. And so I can't remember what the next episode is called, but we'll be back next week with more Batman the Animated Series. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. If you're enjoying the content, please become a subscriber. We just passed 1,100 subscribers, man. It's freaking believable. And so you can also, if you feel so inclined, you can donate to the channel at paypal.me/SmirkingGunReviews. Otherwise, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews saying the next episode's about to start behind me right now, so I gotta stop. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week for more Batman the Animated Series. Bye.